I wasn't anticipating doing a Facebook Live tonight, but I thought I would because I've been talking to people online. Because, of course, now that I can't occupy my office, I'm doing online therapy in the sense of having Skype calls, FaceTime calls, etc. And a few people have said, I am strangely calm. I would normally expect to be like, I'm generally a bit anxious, but I feel strangely calm. Why is that? And I think there's a really interesting reason. So let me see if I can just share that with you. Do you remember there are two realities? There's external reality and internal reality. Hi, April. And your anxiety and your worry and all of the psychological problems that you have live inside internal reality. Hi, Vanessa. Now, normally, external reality is fairly mundane. Compared to the catastrophes we create in here, external reality is fairly ordinary, really. One thing happens, another thing happens. It's kind of fairly normal. But in external reality, you're very competent. You can do pretty much all of the things that you need to do, actually, right? And so it's very rare for it's very rare for external reality to capture your attention to such an extent that it kind of blocks out a bit of internal reality. So let me just summarize. Hi there. All anxiety and all psychological problems live in here, in internal reality. And you normally don't have an external reality problem sufficient enough to make you feel like you're actually doing something constructive. Hi, Admiral. So with coronavirus, you actually have an external reality problem. And now, because you're a problem solver and you know how to solve problems and you know how to navigate in the world, you now have something that you can get your teeth into, and you have something that you can do. And so now that you're solving an external reality problem, an external world problem, you might well feel calmer, you might well feel more in control, and you might well feel like a bit more on top of things. And it's really fascinating, but it's a brilliant opportunity to think about this. If in fact you feel calmer than you would expect to do, that everyone else is kind of being anxious, but you're going, yeah, well, geez, I'm doing the best I can, I'm getting on with things. It's a brilliant illustration of the idea that, of course, you are far more competent than you give yourself credit for, but also it's internal reality that we need to resolve, right? Not external reality. And of course, the thing that everyone gets, hi, Louise, the things that everyone gets wrong is when they're anxious, they try to manage external reality to solve an internal reality problem. I hope this is not too complicated, but it's really worth grasping. I think I'll do some videos over the course of the week on this, because once we get the idea that the world is doing the world's thing, right? There's very little control we have over what's happening in the world generally. But once we get the idea that this is the thing that we have to control, then it's about using the tools that we have to use to do that, right? And the first one is, well done, April, you're feeling strangely calm. Hi, Jennifer. The first one is we've got to recognize what the problem is, right? The problem is not the external world. In the external world, you are no more at risk than anyone else. But in here, in internal reality, you might feel extremely at risk. The thing is, you're not. And because you're not, there's nothing you can do about it, right? And that's the nature of anxiety. So I didn't want to do a long broadcast today, because I'm going to... okay. Well, so in a sense, Vanessa, you might say that everyone's making it up as they go along right now, because things are so fresh and so new. And you've got to expect that things are going to happen, right? But here's the thing. All of your strengths and resources reside within you, and nothing can take them from you. So if external reality things change, that doesn't stop you from being able to be in emotional control. And it doesn't take anything from you, right? You are not lesser of a person because some things have been changed or cancelled. So your reality, your strength, your knowledge and skills always reside within you. So I'm not going to do a long broadcast today, but I'm going to do some more over the course of the week. And I want to really, I'd like to get some feedback from you so that you can just help me to understand what's happening with you, and so we can kind of target the kind of the questions and answers and the sort of topics that we talk about. As you know, I put a video out every day, and I thought, whereas normally I sort of schedule a few days ahead, I'm doing these fresh on the hoof, right? So I'm able to respond to things that are uppermost in your mind and therefore the topics will be really apropos. They'll be hot, right? Okay, hot topics. In the UK, it's reckoned that we're about 2 weeks behind the spread of the epidemic or the pandemic, etc. And so lots of issues are going to come up, and lots of psychological issues. And I did think that we could use this time, especially in the groups, right? Mental health wizard, anxiety wizard, panic pit stop. In these groups, we could use this time in potentially self-isolation to do something a bit more interesting with respect to personal development. We could really, if we're isolating for 12 weeks, we could really get on top of some things, right? We could really stamp on anxiety. And once you've understood that anxiety is simply an internal reality problem, we could, in principle, 12 weeks is sufficient, to really stamp on it. Maybe we could eradicate it. And so when you're able to get back out into the wider world, you're no longer anxious. That'd be a thing, wouldn't it? That'd be a thing to achieve. That'd be something that really worth working towards. So I'm going to say enough for today. Please post some questions to me. If you want to have an anonymous question, please send it to selfhelpcbt@gmail.com. selfhelpcbt@gmail.com. And I will do a broadcast and answer your question, or please post it on one of the groups or on the drpurvis.online Facebook page, and I'll be happy to deal with that and sort of talk about it. So thanks for tuning in. Things have been hi Catherine. Things have been a little bit quiet of late, but let's get focused on resolving these internal reality problems, changing these programs, doing a bit of brain reprogramming, and in principle, eradicating these things which may have been chronic problems for years, and just all turn this pandemic into an opportunity to do something that's really useful for us. Tim says, anxiety makes my upper limbs twitch when relaxing. Yeah, okay, you're discharging energy. Okay, anxiety can pretty much mimic or do anything at all, any physical symptom, any disease diagnosis. Anxiety can pretty much mimic that. It can create that thing from blindness to paralysis to dissociation. I mean, just everything. So it's really worth getting on top of anxiety. Okay, thank you for tuning in. I will be back on again tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to having some questions from you, and then we can really get stuck into changing our lives once the pandemic moves on. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.